Well, hello there. I hope you're all good. I'm excited to be recording this show now, which is the second show of our series. The first one went quite well. People have been engaging online, offline. I've been getting messages, a lot of conversations, and I learned so much. Just about how people think and how they perceive, you know, and their own experiences. People have been sharing their own personal experiences, and it's just fascinating, to see how a person can use your own journey to basically mirror what they are going through, and just make sense of everything. Yes. So welcome to the second one. Uh, this time around, I would like to just bring our attention and our focus to the month of June being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. It's such an important topic because it affects a lot of people, a lot of families. I'm also affected by it on a day-to-day basis. There are so many challenges around, um, just how we think, the perspectives that we have, the habits that we have, the conditioning coming from childhood until we are much older, and and just how it's just fascinating how hard it can be to shift the perspective and to let go of the old habits and rewire your brain, and be able to do things with a fresh perspective. So let me start on by saying, um, for those people who are going through challenges of mental health, um, you know, you're not alone. There are others out there, and it's treatable, and you shouldn't be ashamed, and nobody should put stigma around it. You know, it's part of life. Sometimes life comes with suffering. It's part of life. So when it hits you, it's just it's part of life. We just need to seek courage and find ways to deal with it. Um, have some faith. I know faith is quite a difficult thing to have when you are going through a lot in life. But we have to find faith. Sometimes you have to borrow faith from others, in the sense that when you're looking for help, you can trust it, and use their faith, and then apply it to yourself and see how it turns out for you. And that is like what I call borrowed faith. Then once you know it to work for you, then that becomes verified faith. Then you know it for yourself that it works for you, whatever technique it may be. So I think as a society, as people around, what we need to do is to support others. If you don't know how you can support or how you could be supportive, the very least I think you could do is that you can be there for others. You can be safe, and by that I mean just listen. Quite often people just want to be listened to. A lot of times people are not looking for answers. They're not looking for your opinion. They just want to be heard. So just be there, just be safe without any judgment. Just be compassionate and listen with caring. Obviously, I'm not inviting you to go and look for people who are going through difficulties and try to suck it up onto you. No. What I mean is, if people come up to you, if anybody comes up to you and you have the capacity to listen, then listen, lend an ear. There are times where you may not have the capacity. You may be overwhelmed. You may be going through your own stuff. Then that is not the right time. You don't have to put yourself through that. Yeah, because it can be draining. So yeah, so let me start on by just going through back to childhood. I think for us men, um, I think the challenge doesn't begin when we get older. I think it starts from very early growing up. Parents contribute to this, you know, when they bring us up as boys. And if you compare the boys of the same age with the girls of the same age, you would see that actually parents, even the way they handle emotions when kids bring them up, it's different between boys and girls, usually. And studies have shown this too. With girls, when girls are expressing ranges of emotions such as frustration, anger, or fear, parents tend to protect them. They listen to them. They listen to what they have to say. But when boys do the same, they don't. They want boys to own up to it. It's your problem. Deal with it. And some parents argue that it's because they are trying to make the boy stronger and independent. But then the interpretation from the boys is different. It's not exactly what the parents are trying to bring forth. What happens to the boys, to the boy child, when you do that, is that they feel that as a parent, you are not there for them. You're not there to entertain how they feel, all those ranges of feelings, be it joy, tears. You're not there. What it means then is that they are not accepted. Because if you tell them to go and fix their feelings or to deal with the problems they have, what you are implying is that you're not accepted when you feel this way. So what these boys then do is they get frustrated because it's not nice. So they then in future, when the same feeling comes through, they then keep those emotions to themselves because they understand that expressing this is not allowed. It's not acceptable. So what? So then that becomes a habit. So now, if you say to yourself as a little boy, I'm not accepted when I feel fearful of something or when I feel angry or any range of feeling, then it's mine. I will own up to it. Then it's the way to protect yourself and feel better is by keeping it to yourself. But that is you are doing that in order to be accepted, right? So then the trade-off is that I will be accepted if I just keep my emotions to myself. Now, in the brain will find neural pathways because the brain will find a way to deal with the situation. And this is going to go straight to your subconscious mind. The brain is going to register that when you feel this sort of way, when you have this sort of feeling, and you are tempted to express it, this is how you're going to feel. So now it knows how to deal with it. Then you grow up. So these boys, then they grow up, they go to the age of 9, 10, and then when they feel, the same emotions they felt when they were infants, when they were very little, the brain automatically goes to that way of dealing with the problem. And they keep it to themselves. They're not thinking consciously now. This is now a neurocircuit in the brain already that's building up over the years. So that's the go-to place for the brain. Okay, now I'm feeling this way, this is what I do. So what do these boys do around the age of 9, 10? When they feel these kind of emotions, they start expressing them, physically. They can start beating others for that matter. Because they don't know how to talk about them. They are not used to. But if they were used to and there were people there for them to explain to them what each emotion meant or whatever the circumstances leading to the emotion meant, to interpret and make them understand, they would have been different people. So they are dealing it with the situation by themselves. So if they are angry with another playmate, they can beat them. That's how they resolve it, because that's all they know. That's how they express it. So now, um, just on that topic, because I had this situation, I was situation that was brought into my attention about 2 weeks ago. Two boys of about the same that age. I think this boy is about 13, 12. So I will name them boy A and boy B, for the simplicity of this and also just to protect their identity as well. So they were at a school, and A um, teased B, and B um, felt angry about the situation, and then he teased A back. Then A um, ran to the teachers or the administration, the school, to report that so and so has insulted me, and did not say the role that he played. So now the teachers are coming through, they're trying to resolve, as usual, following all the policies and procedures. And so now B is being confronted. So what does B say? So I asked him now, so what did you say? So he says, I told them that he insulted me, so I had to insult him back to protect myself. So I said, you see, so when you insulted him, he didn't say anything back to you. He went straight and he expressed how he felt. And then he was listened to, and you didn't do the same thing. So you took it up to you. So I asked, why didn't you go to the teachers as well when you were insulted initially? And he said, no, I can't be doing that. I have to stand for myself. So it's this is a very simplified way, and reaction, but it's precisely the same thing that then happens later in life, where then grown men are going through these emotions, but they are not used to expressing, let alone being able to express and then being exploited for that, because there is that too, when people are exploiting you for your vulnerability. But now I'm talking about a scenario where you could express and it can work to your benefit. So now these boys then become grown men. I mean, I remember even when I was at the same age, around 10, 11, 12, when we were playing street game, playing football. If as a boy, you, something happens, either maybe you get injured when you were playing, what happens? We put you aside and we carry on with the game because you can't delay the game. So you're on your own. Easily like that. But with girls, it's a different type of story. Girls like to play more cooperative games, but we play more competitive games. So you boost your ego, you are on your own. And if one of the playmates get injured or get beaten up for whatever reason, I remember like back then, there's one guy, he would then go to his parents' place and cry, say they've either injured me or whatever, report the incident. And his parent would come and confront us, And we used to tease them and say, hey, you're very feminine. Very little, we knew very little. But for those of us who never did that, whatever happened to us, we owned up to that. We took it to ourselves. We are strong. This is what we do. And those ones who were bigger than us, that's what they told us, that when something happens to you, you must be strong. This is what you do. But trust me, that one or two guys who used to do that, like would go to their parents whenever something had happened, they got better at expressing themselves. Why? Because their parents listened to them. They validated their feelings and they protected them. Whether to us that translated as being weak or not, but it made them better people in terms of that. So what happened to us? We carried on and we kept on, keeping and dealing with our own stuff at our own pace. And whenever we couldn't, we become, we find ways to put a mask, to show strength. And trust me, later in life, you'd find that those people who seem to be showing, physical strength or just as a way to show how strong they are, chances are those are the most vulnerable people. It's just a mask. It's just a mask. And people who are the opposite of that, usually they're quite open, easy to deal with. But those people who want to be now seen as strong, those when you go, when you just go just one step beyond that mask, that wall, they are so vulnerable. They are so soft, and in the way for them to hide that vulnerability is by acting strong. You can observe this, and you may see these patterns in grown men now. So yeah, so now what happens then? Now we are grown men. We are in relationships. We have some people have families. We work. Those people who have jobs, and we meet people. Challenges come through. What happens? The same happens. You know, the same defense mechanism in the brain kicks in whenever we feel threatened. It happens automatically. So we need to know to recognize this. That's my view. We just need to recognize it because it's in the recognition that we can start rewiring the brain again. It's when we see and we acknowledge that these are the challenges in play, and this is the conditioning. Because most of this is just conditioning. And how do I rewire the brain? How do I let go of some of the old fears, some of the old habits, and rewire my brain so that I can be a better person? Obviously, it does take a lot of trust. Like I said earlier, you need some faith in the process, and this is when you seek for help. There are institutions out there that have a good reputation to have helped men who are going through challenges. Um, you know, go out there, go to other men out there, have conversations, be open. You would be surprised and you'd be amazed by what other guys have gone through, what they have learned through life. And you might learn one or two things, and somebody might learn one or two things from you as well by just sharing your perspective. I mean, we if we take work, where we work for those people who work extra work because you can't say no, it's too much. You go through work burnout because you want to show how strong you are. We do exercises that are hurting us and we're not saying no, but you can feel the pain, but you don't want to say no because you want to be a man enough. We are suppressing so much. We are in relationships and it's hurting, and you can't be open and be honest about how you feel because you think it will be taken as if you are weak, and we suppress these emotions. you know and what happens when you suppress the emotions? When you suppress the emotions, you suppress the immune system. And if this goes for a very long time and you continue to suppress the emotions and suppressing your immune system, you're going to have inflammation. And what happens when you have inflammation for a very long time? Um, it's going to affect your biological structure. It's going to change. Your DNA is going to be modified because with inflammation, constant inflammation, it's going to affect your chromosomes. It's going to affect your telomeres, which are the ends of your chromosomes. And when this break, it's going to modify your cells. And from this point, this is where you can get your cardiovascular disease. This is where you can get diabetes, or your autoimmune diseases, such as some of the cancers. And some of these autoimmune diseases, for instance, they can come just from inflammation, which results from chronic stress. And chronic stress will result from constant suppression of the immune system, which is a constant suppression of your emotions, which comes from, not by conscious choice. And it comes from being conditioned from very early and living life from those old habits. And the brain is wired that way because that was done a very long time ago. So the brain has a very interesting way of finding patterns and ways of dealing with the problems. So I'm here thinking, I've been through this journey myself, um, you know, and so often the society kind of puts pressure on you to show up as if it's all good, positively, when you're actually not going through some positive vibes. Sometimes you have negative emotions, and that is fine. You don't have to, at least to yourself, you don't have to lie to yourself. At least you have to be honest to yourself and acknowledge when you're going through the negative emotions and acknowledge them. And then you can deal with them with an open mind, make space for them. Because it's that suppression, constant suppression of those emotions that is causing, chronic stress in the long run. And it's very, very dangerous for us. So I think, I guess my message, uh, you know, to all men out there, and even boys growing up, just 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 be aware that you know part of the process is that we have to let go of the old ways of doing things and just recognize what has been conditioned in us in the process, and give it space, give it a fresh perspective, and only once you give it a fresh perspective and make space for it, that you can change, you know, the way of doing things. Um, One of the uh, things that I also wanted to share is, these days, stress, becomes has become, a cultural phenomenon, in the sense that when you eventually feel stressed, there are people who will tell you, now, you know, you are grown up, as if this is the matrix of growing up. You have to stress. And then if you get attached to the stress because you want to prove to yourself or to others that you are also a grown up, so therefore you are stressing, then you are in the danger zone. I mean, like I said earlier, life, suffering is part of life, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to hold on to stress because you have the perception that it's when you stress that you become a grown up, you know. And you hear people saying, oh, kuyanyamezela, nyamezela. Yeah, kuyanyamezela. But you have to find ways, better ways. The other thing is, pain tolerance. We have to be very careful of high pain tolerance. I remember back at the rehab, they're doing exercises. Sometimes it hurts. You can feel the body saying no. But I would say yes, because I thought if I did that in those instances, I was putting it meant that I was putting effort. And putting effort is a wise thing, put effort, put effort. And because I want to get through this, I want to get through this. So I think it's very important for us to be tolerant to an extent to pain. Yeah, because you don't invite pain. So sometimes you have to be tolerant of it. You have to be tolerant of it. But you don't have to have extreme pain tolerance to a point that you don't say no. Because if you don't say no, when your body is saying no, then you know the the illness is gonna say no to you because it's gonna have very bad side effects. So part of the process is being, having a 360 degrees awareness of everything that is happening to you. Don't separate the mind from the body. This has to happen in harmony. Listen to your body, listen to your mind, and when your body says no, then it's a no. When the mind says no, then it's a no. You have to keep everything in harmony and in balance. It's when things go imbalance chemically, physically, then things really go wrong. Yeah. So yeah, my final notes on this are that you know let's support those people who are going through, those that we know who are going through, and not put stigma around mental health challenges. They can, they are part of life. Sometimes we can have those challenges, but we can get through them. We can get through them. Thank you. See you on the next one.